Hi, everybody. Brian here from quantlabs.net. Welcome to Canada. I'll be drinking my coffee here. We'll be talking about your favorite pre-screening, pre-market metrics that you can use for a breakout potential in stocks. This can be global. It can be on any time frame. Obviously, you want it on a lower time frame, like a minute. And the idea of this webinar, which it is to have interaction from you guys and gals if you're out there. So please chime in whenever you want. If you have an idea, I have really nothing to present, just here to blab. But before we get started, just want to make sure that you all know about the free book. Well, it's not free, but it's for $1. Trade Like a Boss, some trading secrets that I've been using for a long time. And you might want to look at that. Grab it now. Also, we have our DVD that we just put out. So that will be available, or it is available, if you want to learn about automated trading, algorithm-based trading for either Python trading bots and MotiveWave. That source code is included. So enough of that fun stuff. Let's get to the fun. So the whole idea here is to talk about our pre-screening. So right now, what I've been working on for the last week is researching. I've had two very highly experienced traders step up with their trading ideas. One for pre-screening market breakouts. They follow no different than a lot of the popular gurus out there, Warrior Trading. Even Tim Sykes do the same, where they have these breakouts, early morning micro caps, or I call them penny stocks on those breakouts. Those do happen. And it's a phenomenon globally. It's a phenomenon that's very lucrative. And there may be even ways to get around, even if the penny stock is being hyped by stock promoters. So there are ways to get around this. The question is, how do we line up our pre-market conditions and metrics to know when to take the trades? Now, I've been following Ross Cameron with his challenge of the $500 to was a 45 grand in some short period of time. It's possible to do that. I don't think he's BSing. It is audited. So I don't think he'd put his name on the line to base it off of BS. So it is possible. There are a couple of videos that you can look for online to show him, Ross Cameron, to go through those metrics. I pulled one of these traders who's given me a lot of really powerful information. I can't go into it, nor will I, so don't ask. But I'll just say it's volume-based and different ways to look at volume pre-market. And it's not as hard as you think it is. But again, I'm not here to talk about that particular metric that's being built out right now as a MotiveWave study. Next week, we'll talk about a intraday way to pick the winners from this list of pre-screening, pre-market penny stocks under, let's say, $10. So if anybody's got any ideas out there, if there's any other techniques that you know of that can be used, let me know. Some will use market cap under, some will not touch anything more than, or want to touch, where there's a market cap of $1 billion plus. Because they cannot be manipulated. So that's fair game. There are other ones under a couple $100 million that can be manipulated by stock promoters. So those are the ones we have to be very careful of. But I have seen instances in the crypto world where coins do get manipulated, but they're very predictable with the manipulation, and you can capitalize on those even if they are being manipulated. So potential is there. So are there other techniques out there that you can use? Bid-ask spread's a big one, especially if they do offer bid-ask on their stock or underlying stock. Another one, if it's big enough, you can use open interest in the pre-market, in the options market, if that stock is big enough and listed on the exchanges, where open interest is another one that you can use. Typically what I've seen with, let's say, oh, we got a comment here. Yeah. Thanks for that. So we have Lance. I'm in. Thanks. No problem, man. All right. So coming back to our different ways of doing this is to do, as I said, volume based. You could use options where you have open interest in the bid and ask, and then you can also use bid and ask itself, which is pretty good on tick data. So there's lots of ways to do it. As I was saying, if you looked at I do know this, if you looked at the UK markets, London-based, around 1 a.m., I don't know exact time, use a standard time when our time it opens up, but let's say 2, 3 in the morning. If you look at maybe 2 hours before that, you will notice a rush into currencies globally, because it has a lot to do with trading desks opening up and doing their buys and sells as London comes on, because that is it is the largest trading operation for Forex and swaps and all that. So I have been trained on that with namely out of Hong Kong, Singapore, where a lot of trading desks will unload their desks. So what you'll find in the world of Forex, where if you're using an exotic pair like Denmark, Norwegian, or any of the Scandinavian currencies, you will get those spreads to tighten, because the trading desks are doing their buying and selling in that period. So opportunities like that do exist. It also exists in the world of currency. Lance asks, we have the challenge of BDT rule. Yes, I do recognize that. Thanks for participating for that, Lance. Typically, to get around PDT rule for US based there's a couple of ways. I'm a Canadian, so I'm not hinged to that requirement. I have verified that with Interactive Brokers, where I do get full access to the US markets without PDT applying to me. And that's pattern A trading rule. Where you're thinking is it 25,000 you need in the account to make any form of automated trading in stocks. It's the lobbyists of the Chicago-based exchanges putting that pressure on Washington to prevent retail traders from participating in the stock market. And it's definitely a lobbyist problem. Here's a solution. There's 2 ways you can go around it. Right now in Europe, there's the EU has instituted a law under MyFed 2, I believe, or something like that. So it's a European-based law that for Forex brokers, they have to, like Oanda as an example, if you're doing trades through Oanda, through an API, through an automated tool, you have to, by law, the only way to execute that trade, it has to be on an Oanda-based technology, if it's through the API or through their platform like FX Trade. So if you're using, let's say, like a MotiveWave platform or any other platform that's connected into Oanda, the broker, that's not allowed in Europe. So somebody came up with a method a few days ago, actually, to get around that with MotiveWave. Is all you got to do with MotiveWave to get around that is to use MotiveWave for the signaling, and then send the signals out to another piece of software, like let's say a Python or maybe MetaTrader that is downloaded from Oanda, and then the MetaTrader or the Python API will be able to execute the trades from those signals that are analyzed in MotiveWave. So you can get around that. That's in the world of Forex. Now, in the world of US with the pattern A trading rule, there's really no way around it. You hear about, like, Ross Cameron will tell you to go to this broker called CMEG, based out of, I think it's Trinidad, Caribbean based. And I mean, I know people that have dealt with the group before they became a broker. They're scammers. Like, there's no ifs, ands, or buts about that. So I'm surprised that a lot of these brokers do that. So I wouldn't go that route. What you can do as an American, don't worry about the U.S. markets. Focus on international. I have done some studies on the Singapore market. There's a lot of opportunity there. You can also do Hong Kong as well. So there's lots of opportunity there for that as an American. But just as an American residing in the U.S., what you can do is definitely get around that by just focus on international. There's lots, like Germany's huge, lots of markets. Lance says, why don't you start a prop firm in Canada so we can get around the PD2? The legislation around that is just not worth. I've thought about hedge funds taking people's money. The regulations, it's overburdening. And I'm sure lots of other people want to do that. Let them. I'd rather just teach and try, like what I'm telling you now, as workarounds. That's possible. I'm not sure if you're referring to the European DAM. That's possible. Which ones? So I'm not sure. Unfortunately, I didn't pick up your references to that, Lance. So if you want to retype that, I can go over that again. So yeah, PDT is going to have a huge effect on U.S. Markets. And just so you know, I'm just looking up the term DAM. Okay, so it's expletive. Oh, damn. Yeah, okay, I got it now. Damn. Yeah, okay, I got it. Yeah. Yeah, so he's kidding. All right, so what we have is, I would probably do that as an American. Focus on US based, if you're US based, just focus on international. I confirm with Interactive Brokers, you can do that. And there's tons of opportunity in markets like, as I said, Singapore, Hong Kong, Taiwan will be predicted, if this Chinese virus continues, it will be the #1 stock market in the world. And you could probably trade on Taiwan, and that will do well. It's okay. I just have to work around it. Yeah, no, but I'm just saying Asian-based exchanges might be really good to do that, because you can get around that much easier by just focus on international. I mean, if you watch Ross Cameron and what he does, he's doing $500 to 45 grand. I mean, he's done 25,000 plus. That's your PDT rule. He's not doing real high risk stuff. He's starting out with $500, and he's just putting in one or two, picks one or two stocks, and he's all in. He's just all in. Like, he'll put in if he only has $500 available, as what he calls buying capital or buying power, he'll put $500 in. If he makes $1,000 in a week, he'll put that $1,500 in each and every day. So he's maximizing what he's doing. His genius is where he's able to pick the winners. So at the end of the day, this topic that we're covering right now is pre-market conditions and looking for the proper metrics that win is what's important. So it's a study worth looking at, among other what I'm already got. So as I mentioned, some of the potential metrics you can use out there. So again, I know we have other folks coming in looking for other metrics. I've already mentioned 3 different ones if you're using options, but there's tons. If you look through the Tim Sykes, there's a guy, I remember taking that course, where he goes through the term sheets of the stocks, who the stock promoters are. They look at the capital requirements. There's no way, and it's not even worth pursuing at that level of investigation with what Sykes' team does. But I do think there's definitely some legitimacy behind that. But I'm sure you can pick out some good stock winners with those based upon things, as I said, a volume and a price action, bid-ask spread, because you will need to have a really good data provider. I've been working with IQFeed, works great. I've looked at some of the other tools out there. You could set them up, and they will send you alerts. It's part of my book here that I've talked about. One of these, let me just line it up here. So this book I'm talking about, there is one tool in here, Trade Like a Boss. There's a tool in there that you can use. It's open source, is Java based as well, and that can be used across 25 plus countries in the world to scan those markets. But the problem with this software, it's slow, and it's only slow because it's using Google data as a source. So it can't ping more than 30 a second or 30 a minute. It's really slow. But once you loaded up all your particular stocks that you're interested, it'll start generating alerts for you based upon some technical indicators that you can build within the software. It's really powerful. So that is pretty good. Can you give me a brokerage name in Hong Kong or Taiwan that's like IB? The best one in the world for that is that IB, because I like IB. It's like this. I know you're on MotiveWave and you've got it. Here's how I look at MotiveWave. When you have interactive brokers, that's a true global broker, okay? Nothing wrong with that broker. Where people complain about the brokers because of the trader workstation software, it's crap, and I know that. But when you use another piece of software to connect into it, a really good piece of software like a platform like MotiveWave, you can develop your strategy in MotiveWave, or your strategy, or a combination of those. And because it connects to over 30 different data providers and connectors, you can use the same code within MotiveWave and then just repoint it to another broker. So that's solved there on the MotiveWave side. But when you also look at interactive brokers, it's truly a global broker. I mean, you get they have offices everywhere in Hong Kong, Singapore. So if you want to focus on those regions, I would only go with the interactive brokers. And they're very low in commission fees. And when you're trading very low priced or lowly valued stocks, commission is going to be king for you to stay profitable. And that's where interactive brokers will help you. As I said, people complain about TWS because of the software. If you're coming in with virtually no programming experience or virtually no experience using TWS, you'll struggle with that software. It's just daunting. But if you use just interactive brokers with the API, Interactive is probably one of the best ones out there. It's really lowly priced for stocks and pretty well anything. And believe me, I've got more people now using interactive brokers going the same path to start with small stocks and then eventually move into futures and options, bigger market and asset classes. But the best part is they don't need to switch over. They don't need to switch over to another broker. They don't need to use another platform. Nothing changes when they move from stock into futures and options. That's where everyone's wanting to go. So that's the path I'd more than strongly recommend. So Lightspeed's another broker, yeah, but again, they do have their limitations. I believe that the requirements for them are quite a bit. We can look at that. That's an interesting question because I know MotiveWave. Let me pull that up. That's a good question. Okay, so we will look up Lightspeed. So Lightspeed. Okay, Lightspeed comes from many different so here we go. Advanced online stock trading. So I don't know what their minimum requirements are for it. A lot of people seem to like it. Funding information. It's pretty fast. But I don't know if you can see in here the requirements for it. But I think it's pretty, isn't it pretty high to go with them, like 10,000 or something? But I'll let you research it if you can. That'd be awesome. But in the meantime, Lightspeed is a recommended way. But I do know that there's quite a few $1,000s that you need to be part of that. Okay, here we go. So yeah, so these are the funding requirements right here. $10,000 for a web trader platform. So you need 10 grand. So it comes back to the olden days of with interactive brokers, but interactive brokers, there is no requirement for funding. It is a good platform. The other question is, does MotiveWave support Lightspeed? I'm not sure if it does, but let's see here. So that's a good question. See, yeah, Lightspeed's not included in that, but you do see interactive brokers right here. So again, it's just from my point of view, that's the method I'd go with. But I'm not you, so you choose what you want. Okay. Anybody else got any questions, or if you have any other questions, Mr. Lance Campbell will gladly take them. So right now, that's what I would recommend for the pre-screen, because the pre-screening is the key to it all, to get breakouts and get them right. Because if you get your breakouts, everything comes down to timing. You could say in the next few days X stock will move up, but if you think it's going to move tomorrow, but in actual fact you're wrong, and it goes up the next day after that, timing's critical, but more critical is getting the data right, your metrics right. So I'm not sure when you say not applicable, but that's pretty important to know. I don't think, from what I see with Lightspeed, I think Lightspeed with a combination of IQ feeds pretty good. So you can definitely go that route if you want. But for convenience, I'd probably stay with Interactive Brokers and Motivate, because that's legitimate. Like, me, I've worked with Forex and world of Forex as well as crypto. Crypto's in a huge bear market. You can still make boatloads of money in crypto, there's no doubt, but it's just in the steady downward bear market. I think it'll blow up in the next couple of months as the markets start to tank and there's no more stock performance anywhere, especially out of the US, because with this China coronavirus, whatnot, that seems to be the catalyst that people were waiting for to bring down the markets, which already are. But then when you also look at the Forex markets for the last number of weeks, Forex has not performed at all, unless it's some econometric news item like out of Britain and it pops for 12 hours. So Forex and crypto are not doing as strong as they did last year. I mean, they may come back, and I think crypto will come back, especially as I just watched interview with Martin Armstrong, who says that governments are broke. I mean, they're desperate for cash. And what's happening is, I read another article about Bitcoin, and if the markets, and even Trump wants to go negative interest, which I think is suicidal, but because Bitcoin has built in about 5% for inflation. So even if they go down to, let's say, 2-3% negative, Bitcoin, with the inflation rate that's built into it, you'll still be at least 1.5% above negative interest at the federal level. And a lot of these central banks are already talking about it. So Bitcoin could blow up because of that, and also because of tax. People are just fed up with the tax, and so that will build the utility of things like crypto. Question: is it possible to build a low-end HFT between two brokerages and penny stock? No, I don't think so. I just had a guy ask me if you can do even HFT in retail brokering. No. I mean, there is a broker out here called, which I suggested to him, but it comes back to the size of your account. Let me just show you Lime brokerage. Okay, I'm going to pull it up. So there's this broker called Lime. Okay, people always ask about HFT. Misconceptions. You can't do HFT in a retail broker environment. It's not possible. Okay, if you are using BitMEX on crypto, potentially, but they're pretty well dead. But here's the broker, Lime Brokers. They sit right on the markets. They are built. They are using FIX and all the standard protocols that you would use in HFT. And a lot of HFT wannabe shops, but they're big, multi-million-dollar shops have access and use this platform. So there are some exchange. This is all new to me. I've not looked at this. So you can hear going at dark equities, U.S. options, so on and so forth. But you have to have your own platform, and it has to work with FIX. I've been looking at FIX for 10 years. I wouldn't want to look at FIX because FIX is a brutal protocol. It's very primitive. And if you want to go HFT, this is the direction you got to go. Okay. So if that's your case, go for it. But you better be very technical to do it. And you better have Let's see if we can find the funding requirements. So here they do hosting and co-location, which everybody wants. And I'm not sure where they're based out of. It's New York or Chicago. Yeah, so they're in Chicago and they also have New York. So they will sit on those exchanges. But this is the closest you'll get to the ability to do HFT. But again, your only support is going to be the fixed protocol. And if you want to get a library that's performance based to make it worthwhile, you'd be spending about 10 grand a month just for the fixed connection library on top of your stuff built around either C++ or Java. And I don't mind Java, but building something from scratch for something like this, not worth pursuing. You got to be a really good coder and a low level coder to really pull it off. And as I said, I have a big account. I'll put this in the comments if you want. But if anybody asks about HFT, they don't know. I'm sorry, they don't know. You can't do HFT in a retail broker. Simple as that. Wish I had better news for that. So yeah, it's just the way it is, right? So the metrics come again back to the breakouts. That's probably the most lucrative way to do. If you're a small account, if you're a really, really small account, you may probably want to pursue this methodology. But as it stands right now, I mean, there's a lot of data out there, but you got to be also very careful of other people doing this as well, because the more people that do it, it takes away the edge, okay, your trading edge. So if you have 1,000 people watching XYZ stock, which is listed at $1 and it's ready to break out, you're going to have probably a high level of number of people watching it, retail traders as well, like the dumb money pretty well, the students of these gurus also watching it. So there's going to be a lot of liquidity on those breakouts. But again, timing will be critical to make it possible. The only way to do that is through automation. I mean, it's one thing to get in on the action as it builds once the market opens, but you'll be in and out within half an hour, and you just watch the tail end of that trade. And once you start to see it whittle away, get out, because it's not coming back. But I'll be doing more studies on that as well for that. Any other questions? We're half an hour in, so I know there's some other people watching. If you got any questions regarding algorithmic trading, automated trading, as it stands right now. So if there's anything out there, that's great. As for me, like I said, I've been working on a pre-screener. I'm doing that as we speak. And that's built as a study in Motive Wave. Again, that's will be a proprietary study. I just can't go around and share that type of technology or that type of strategy, because that was submitted by somebody, and I'm going to obviously support that. Which broker can be used? Broker for what? As I said, I mean, I don't know. As I said, here's the broker options you have with like, if you're trying to do stock, you have TD Ameritrade. I've worked with TD Ameritrade last week. I'm going to be honest with you, TD Ameritrade, it's kind of it's okay as a broker. The commission fees are really, really, really big compared to interactive brokers. There's Ally if you're Canadian. I wouldn't go with them. Very expensive as well, and the commission fees. All these other ones, TradeStation, I have no idea. Trade08, I hear not good things about. So the only ones I'd be looking at right now that I've done research for, I mean, you should know my stance on Forex by now. There might be some opportunity with Swiss franc and the Japanese yen as a safety trade. So there might be some opportunity there. I'll be doing a live stream on that later today. And then moving into other brokers. The only one, if you want to go into the world of options and futures, I've looked at Canon Trading. I like them. So if you're trying to do HFT, as I said, the only one I have suggested, the one that I know of, and that might be legit, is this one, Lime. That's the only one. That's the only one I know of. And again, you better have a big account. they probably won't even look at you unless you have $250,000 US. So what other options? Everybody wants to do HFT, but if you want to do HFT, you better have a big account, because no broker is going to take you, or if they do, they're scammers. You're stuck in the retail world. I mean, once you build an account that's a substantial, yeah, then you can do HFT, no doubt on that. But as I said, I put the comment in of line brokerage, and that's your only option. Go reach out to them, see what they say. If it's $250,000, those are the ones. But again, there's other new retailers that come into the space, so I'm unsure of other brokers out there that are doable on HFT. But if you want to get into trading, I would think, honestly, if you want to get into trading, I think you want to get started now, like not dick around like that I'm known for. Yeah, I mean, Lime is the best one. Check them out, see what they say, report back to me. I'd love to hear what they say. But as I said, if you want to get in, into trading now, and legitimate trading, I wanted to get in about a year and a half ago. The thing is that Forex and crypto are just dead. I mean, they're in bear markets. So not saying that they're not worthy. I have strategies and everything ready to go, and I'll be doing very active very soon. And then the stock strategy that I'm building now, and I'm going to have a third one that will work on anything. That one I'll be making available through my upcoming course for the Motive Wave. Okay, so that will show you the programming side of Motive Wave, along with a working study and strategy for it using the Heiken, ASHI, and VWAP. Those work really well. So Lance says he's trying his best to get into it. The problem is there's so many options available to you, and everyone thinks they have an answer. The problem is, it's one thing to say you're an educator and say, hey, I got this awesome, great. But when you start to look at, are they trading live, and what's their trading performance like as well? Verified trading performance. That's what people want to see. There's no doubt on that. And if the person cannot cut that, then they're not worth pursuing. But I will tell you, the success rate of trading online with a system, I know some of the biggest and best, and it's a struggle. They're struggling too. And you have a winner, it only lasts so long. Lance comes back and says, do you know that, did you just say crypto is dead as of today? No, I'm not saying crypto is dead. I'm just saying right now that crypto is in a severe bear market, and it may come back. There's always opportunities in crypto, but there's no predictability to it. So crypto is really good. It's your best option right now. But it's tough to find predictability with it. And Forex is dead. That's what I'm saying. There's just been no performance, but haven trades may come out of what we have today with this China coronavirus, where, Japanese yen took off, as well as the Swiss franc. So that's what I'm saying. But, I'm going to be turning it on all and really hitting it real hard. So we haven't talked a lot about the metrics outside of myself, what I can offer as an option. But if anybody else has any questions or comments, just so you know, I'm addicted to coffee. Anybody out there? We've talked about this broker line doing so-called HFT. Okay, so futures for now. Let's talk about that. Futures is really good. You want to get into mini micros if you're starting with a tiny account, but you're very limited, obviously. But you have 7 currencies from there. Let me just pull that up here. I'll go over to our Bing and see what it says. So that's on the CME mini micro. Apparently, somebody told me that they're changing now. It's so we know all about this 150, 350. So let's see what we have here. So we have the US indices, and they're going to be, again, the timing. Yes, it's not liquid, but the thing is, from what I last heard a month ago, these things are very popular. They're already about half the volume of a regular contract in the futures market. So they were launched in March, I believe. So after 10 months to be half the volume of a regular futures contract, that's pretty big. And here's what you need to focus on is that there is currencies available too. So you have all the standard indices, and our timing is impeccable as the markets come off, right? Like getting into this is the wrong time, but they may not be the best option if the markets go down. This is the problem. But it's good when they do come back. And then there's currency ones as well. I know that there's about 6 of them in US dollar. So you got any other questions at all? Futures is good. You can do it as low as $150 margin requirement. But again, I've looked at many different stocks, like if it's Tesla, Apple versus some of the penny stock performance, to get the same performance with an established stock like in the Fortune 500. You could take 2 weeks to 5 weeks to get a return. But if you have some risk in you and you want to get that performance or even double, triple your cash in a very short period of time, like a few hours, microcaps and penny stocks are the way to go. That's why these guys do it. It's very lucrative. Futures I wouldn't do. They don't move as fast. I mean, that eventually I want to do. If you have not watched my CFDs, right now the king as the markets, and I'll probably be mentioning this later today, is that agriculture is the king right now. It's not gold. It's not any of the precious metals or oil or energy. It's agriculture. You look at sugar. Let me see if I can show it up. So if I go to TradingView, this has been the clear winner for the longest time since September. Sugar's been on a huge. This is Oanda as a CFD though, but I don't see how it's any different than the real thing. We can see here, if I pull up a 6-month chart, you can see here since, okay, so a buy signal. So in November, it's been up from 11.26 all the way up to 14.86. So that's almost a 30% rise. I notice you really like to short interest. I don't short at all. I try to take long views and long biases all the time. Just easier. I like to take. There will be a lot of shorting opportunities for sure, but again, you got to be really good at it and have good timing and want to take the risk. I notice you don't get into. Yeah, that's right. Long view is what I like for now. I just like to be conservative, but I think there's gonna be more shorting, obviously, as time passes. But as I said, right now, agriculture is the king, without a doubt. If I showed you wheat, USD as well, so futures is a good place to be. So we have the similar performance as well as corn, oddly enough. So it has taken off a little bit if I can get the 1 month view. But wheat and sugar are consistently up there. Don't ask me why. But if you want to play in the agriculture space, that might be a good place to hide out in. I think there's enough volume now as people, the professionals, the insiders are doing that. We just don't know about that. So any other questions at all? It looks like Lance is the only one that's asking them. Anybody else? If not, we can do a wrap. I'll be doing another couple of streams later today on where we stand on the Forex crypto. When I do Forex, I also do include the CFD on the overall space of pretty well everything from a global view with Oanda data. As I keep saying, I wouldn't trade it, but it's good to know. And my discoveries with that was, as I'm showing you, you got the sugar. Wheat's been doing pretty good. I bet you if I look at that today, you'll see sugar up there as one of the top performers. And you know, you could also do the bonds, but the U.S. bond is not number one. It's either UK or Germany. Any other questions at all? If not, I'll give this a wrap and I'll do exactly what I just said. The Forex and crypto right after this. Anybody? So if you are interested, don't forget about those books, quantlabs.net/book. Lance, I'm not sure if you got about the DVD. You get that through that elite thing. Just let me know. It's only 2 and a bit hours, and I'll get you hooked up for that. If you want to learn about the algo trading with MotiveWave, that gives you a high-level view. There's a programming intro to it as well, and a trading bot in Python, code included. So if you want that, just let me know. I'll hook you up for it. Anybody else? So those are the URLs. Anybody. Okay, so if not, I'll do a wrap and I'll load up MotiveWave and get looking at those cryptos and CFDs. Okay, so thanks for watching. Hopefully I'll see you somewhere online. We'll do another webinar 12 noon this style. I'm going to get rid of that Zoom, as I said. I don't see the point. I get better audience, bigger audience here. We're not talking private stuff anyways, so no big deal to do it via social media on YouTube and Facebook. Anybody? Ooh, nobody? Okay, I will say thank you for watching. Have a good day. Don't forget, if you want to get some of these book things, just go to that URL, quantlabs.net/book. All right, thanks for watching. You have yourselves a grand day.